Please welcome my guest at this time, Mr. Nick Field. How are you, sir?
Well, hello there. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad.
Good.
Yes, it's Good Friday, and I have so far done very little today, which is a first for this week.
Well, all I've done is a radio show, so, swings and roundabouts,
Indeed.
Oh, dear. So, what can you tell us about yourself? I mean, you are the host of Curveballs on Phoenix FM, aren't you? Are you not?
Indeed I am.
So, what is Curveballs?
Righto. Well, today is actually the 17th anniversary of the first ever Curveballs live show.
Wow.
Yes, I don't know how I've managed that either. And well, primarily it's a new music show. It's a show because this is what the first thing I wanted to do before anything else was I wanted to be a radio presenter. I've diversified into a few things since then, but I wanted a radio show in which I could play loads of stuff that doesn't normally get played on the radio. This was the days before YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to be able to play stuff that wasn't played on the radio very often. I also had lots of friends who were performing in bands. So I was like, I could get them in so when the opportunity came up to work with Phoenix FM, who had been going for many years doing 28-day broadcasts, and they'd just gotten a full-time license and were looking for presenters to train up. That was fortunately the opportunity fell into my hands, and got into it. Recorded a few podcasts for them, which are probably still floating around on the internet somewhere. I sound a lot younger and even less knowledgeable of what I'm doing than I do now, and it was a real lightning in a bottle moment, and been going ever since. And since then, I've diversified and I do a lot, and I interview lots of people from all over the media sector now, which is great fun to be part of. And it's just really good fun to give people opportunities that they wouldn't have in a lot of other places.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the breakfast show now on Radio V75 since 2022. And I can't believe how I get away with it. I really don't know how I get away with it, And I'm 50 now. I'm pushing 50, for goodness sakes. Come on. So yeah, but I've interviewed a lot of people as well, Most recently, I interviewed Wesley and Serico from Gladiators, which was my best interview ever. That goes out tomorrow afternoon on Saturday Sport. And I'm on podcast from 5 p.m. So yeah, I'm feeling great, So how did you get involved with Phoenix FM?
Right. Well, let's go back to 2006. Yes. It was 2006. I mean, I had wanted to be on the radio for years. It's like I used to listen to all the late night shows on Radio 1, and because that was the only place that was playing a lot of stuff that wasn't being played on the radio at the time. And if you think the stuff being played on the radio now is bad, late 90s, early noughties.
Oh, yes.
Ouch. And so I really wanted to get on the radio and do my own show. And I heard about Phoenix FM, a Brentwood-based community station, through some friends of mine who'd recently done a live session for them, and went on the website and saw that they were looking to train people up as presenters. This was shortly after they'd managed to get a full-time license after 10 years of restricted service licenses, RSLs, basically just 28-day broadcasts. Yeah. And I thought to myself, well, I'll write to them, see what happens. And I got invited to a new presenters meeting in July of 2006. And this was over at a place in Hutton, where they'd kind of like recorded upstairs. It was like a bowling lodge or something like that. And just basically I went to a few training sessions with them and was eventually asked to do a podcast after basically gushing about music for many a time. and they asked me to do a podcast, and which I did in November 2006, and promptly told everyone that I had this radio show, and I managed to get to play a few of my friends' songs on it. And it just kind of all went from there. I did another one for them in early 2007. And then it was around that time that I was offered a slot on the schedule when it launched in March of 2007. And yes, here we are 17 years later when the show is exactly 17 years old.
Wow. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That's a marvellous story, I must admit. And you've also recently branched out into stand-up comedy, haven't you?
I have, yes.
So go on, tell us a bit more about that. Let's find out the stand-up comedy. How'd that come about?
Righto. Well, the going from radio to there, I've done lots of. Since then, I've diversified into voiceover.
Mhm.
The thing with radio is I really enjoy it and stuff, but there's very limited opportunities to move up in radio.
Yeah.
So that was when I started diversifying into voiceover, and when I was like applying for stuff on freelancer websites, one of the sites looking for voiceover work also had a bunch of like extras work and acting work.
Mhm.
So I thought, I'll put myself forward for this, and I'll do some networking and stuff. So I started doing more kind of like in-person stuff, like on-screen stuff. So I did bits and bobs of acting and extra work, which I still do a lot more of now. And in a lot of ways, it was doing that started getting me thinking, what else can I do? Because up until now, I've only really done film and TV acting.
Mhm.
I've not really done anything up on stage, apart from playing Jacob Marley in my school's Christmas play sometime in the mid-90s. So I was kind of looking at a way in which I could get into, maybe doing some more stage stuff. I mean, I'm definitely not going to be... I'm definitely not going to be playing Macbeth on stage anytime soon. It's just not the right kind of fit for me. But when I saw that so I'd been sort of entertaining the idea of doing something like stand-up comedy, because I'd managed to pick up a few random things that I'd done kind of like during my extra work, and there's some random stuff that you're asked to do as a voiceover artist. And even when teaching, because I was a special needs teacher for many years, there were things that I could talk about with that as well. So Ultra Comedy came up and I signed up with them to do one for charity, and so I went along with that course, and that course, it's you do it kind of like to raise money for charity and sell tickets for stuff, which the comedy is the easy part with that. But I managed to get onto the final gig at the Backyard Comedy Club in Bethnal Green in November. And so I got up on stage, did 5 minutes of stand-up comedy in front of 300 people. And since then I kind of didn't make any specific plans to do any more until after I'd got that out of the way, because I was fully aware that I could completely bomb on stage and have the longest 5 minutes of my life with nobody laughing. But it worked. And then it was about a month before Christmas, so I didn't get the chance to do any more before Christmas. But once New Year came around, I was like, right, let's get on to doing some more stand-up. So I managed to get a few more comedy gigs. One was at the Lion's Den, which is a comedy club in Soho, which is an open mic in which you don't have to necessarily bring people along to guarantee yourself a slot, which is very common in stand-up.
Yeah.
The more friends you have, even better if you're doing that. And I've done one that we've all stayed in touch from the comedy gig, and they've asked us, and we did one at, one of them is the manager of a pub over in Kilburn. So I did one of those earlier this month, and I'm going to try and do one. They're running another one in a few weeks, which I'll try and get on. I've got another one coming up in a month's time as well. So it's just kind of grown from there, really. And the thing that I really like about it is it's given me the chance to get up on stage, and sort of, I have a naturally very projectable voice, which works in my favor with this, because talking like this into the camera into the microphone really doesn't help you at all. And I have seen stand-up comedians try and do that. And yeah, so it's just kind of gone from there, and it's really enjoyable. You know, it's given me the opportunity to get up on stage in front of an audience, which I haven't done in years. And yeah, it's helped me grow my confidence a lot from that. You know, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be doing a Netflix comedy special anytime soon. And to be honest, when you're starting out, don't look at it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to go on to like the smaller slots where you're doing a lot of stuff with a lot of people who aren't necessarily interested, and you're not going to get loads of people laughing at you. And yeah, if you can still keep going with it after that, then you might just be onto something special. So yeah, it's helped a lot with my confidence, and it's helped me, kind of understand sort of like humor, and laugh at myself a bit more without just slagging yourself off all the time. There's a difference between laughing at yourself and slagging yourself off people, putting yourself down big time. So don't go down that route. So yeah, it's something that's really kind of like to help me grow, and it's not for everyone, but it's something that it's a good way to get yourself out there in front of people, and then you can get them interested in other stuff that you're doing. The thing with this industry and the biz we call show is that a lot of the people who do well sort of know what they're good at, but also have a go at other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is don't be a jack of all trades and a master of a couple, and who knows where else it can take you.
Yeah.
So I do stand-up comedy, voiceover work, radio presenting, acting, but in each of those, I know where my strengths are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I think you see, because presenting is a very wide spectrum. Voiceover is a very wide spectrum. Acting is a very wide spectrum, but you need to know where you fit in with each of them. And once you know that, once you know the kind of roles that you play, the kind of characters that you are, the sort of things that bring out the best in you, then you'll find that you've got a lot to work with, and the industry has a lot to offer you, as well as you having a lot to offer it.
I apologize for my phone going off there, but seriously, I mean, I did try Father's Day last year, I think it was. I tried doing the Ultra Comedy Cover gig as well, but although I raised enough money, fundraising wise, I didn't manage to get enough tickets by the deadline.
Yeah,
I'd drop out, which it kind of broke my heart a little bit. I'll be honest with you, because it's something I've always wanted to try. Because people always say to me, "I'm funny." I'm like, "Wow." But I just wanted to, give it a go. Sort of step out my comfort zone, for instance.
We are getting you a slot on one of the comedy nights that I'm at very soon, Rob.
Really?
Seriously, this is that. Yeah, because I know that there are a couple of slots in which you don't have to sell loads of tickets to get a slot. So we can sort this for you if you are still up for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm up for it.
Yes. So yes.
Absolutely up for it, yeah.
So yes. Rob and Nick coming to a comedy club near you soon, listeners.
Oh yes, indeed. There you go. You heard it here first. So what more? I mean, you've got a film coming out, haven't you? Pretty soon.
I have a couple of films coming out. The next one that's coming out is a horror film entitled The Whisperer Within the Woods.
Oh, nice.
Which it's getting its premiere at the start of June, and I'll be able to confirm nearer the time exactly where you'll be able to watch it. But yes, it's a really interesting film. It's directed by a friend of mine, Mark, whom I have known for years. He's worked in the media sector for years, but this is his feature film debut as a director. Mm-hmm. And it's a really interesting story about kind of like a cursed woods. And my character wrote a book about it, and some of the young readers of it get caught up in what happens. So yeah, but it's a really interesting film. It's not just kind of like it's not like a mindless slash fest. It's actually a really good, interesting story within it. Which I think sometimes gets overlooked in the horror genre. People are just like blood, guts, gore, all of that. Yeah. And sometimes I think they lose track of the fact that horror films can tell a really good story sometimes. And I think in this one, there's a really good story to watch as well.
Fantastic. And you've got a science fiction one coming out as well, haven't you?
Along the lines, yes. There's a couple. It's not strictly a science fiction one, but I have got a few other genres coming out soon. I've got a comedy called Death and Taxation, which will hopefully be out soon, playing an annoying office manager. The Grim Reaper's involved in that one as well. So yeah, and there is one that I did which is about cyborgs. That one's called Mundane. No fixed release date for that one as yet, so we'll wait and see with that one. And I did do one called Mega Twisters, which has the same executive producer as the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey films.
Nice.
So it's by the same production company. So yes, that one, which does have a few sort of like sci-fi elements and the like. That one, I think they're too busy promoting Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey at the moment. But once the promotional trail's done for that one, then that one's coming out soon as well. So looking forward to sharing that. And I do play a scientist in that one. And yes, and I'm in a lab where everything goes a little bit haywire. That's pretty much all I can say for now. But yeah, you'll understand what Mega Twisters means.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a few films myself. You know, I've done, but the biggest one I did was a film called Welcome to Essex, which is a zombie horror film.
Yes, indeed.
And a death scene as well. So yeah, my first death scene.
Nice.
I've only ever done stage work before, but
yeah,
I've started to branch out into being extras and doing extra work and that. And
excellent.
I can say that I've worked with Dave Bautista and Pierce Brosnan on a film, so I can say that.
So have I. Is that final score by any chance?
It's certainly well. There you go. What a small world, eh?
Yes. So you know, listeners, that was filmed at Upton Park, the old West Ham football ground.
Yep.
This was like 2016.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had to. And were you in the bit just after the explosion where we had to run away from an
I think I was just before it went off, I think.
Right. Because there was a bit where we had to run away from an explosion 30 times, listeners. This is the thing to remember. Everything that you've seen, apart from like the actual explosion, because obviously they can only do a massive controlled explosion once.
Yeah.
Everything else was filmed about 30 times.
Yep.
So yes, just imagine the number of times, because we had to do this scene where we're all running away from this explosion that's just happened, you know, and during that runaway, someone gets captured and there's like a guns going off and stuff. So yeah, the number of times we had to do that.
Yeah. It makes you think, though, doesn't it? When you're filming, when you do the film, that and you look back at it when it's start the finished products there. Because I was watching Final Score the other day, and you know the scene where they're looking through the camera footage on the computer. You know that time, bit when my face came up on that computer, I'm like, huh? What? So that was quite fun, I must admit. I also done a film called The Hippopotamus, which is based on a book by Stephen Fry. And I was in the theatre audience for that, right towards the beginning, and yeah, you can actually see me as well. So
I know, it is such a wonderful feeling, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, it's just like, there I am. I mean, I did Spider-Man Far From Home, which was another like 30 times running away from things.
Yeah.
We had to basically run for our lives when Hydra Man jumps out of the Thames. And Mysterio comes and fights him and stuff, which I think hadn't been announced at the time. Yeah. And yeah, I was this green blur in the background. And I've been in a Spider-Man film. And the thing is, once you have done a bit of extra work, you will never be boring again. If you're ever short of stuff to talk about at dinner parties and the like, ta-da!
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. Have you got any advice before we go? Any advice for anyone?
Advice for people. Well, if you're looking to get into this industry, practice. Think about the kind of roles that you will fit into, kind of, because the thing is, you're not going to be every kind of role.
No.
And you know, so that's something. So yeah, you know, just be aware of that. You know, it's like my acting type is the authority figure who comes and ruins everyone's fun, and you know, the caring guy who always plays by the book apart from when he can't. So kind of think about where you fit in with that role. And also, if you get rejected for something, don't take it personally. It's just what, and also, every rejection is a step to getting something for you that is perfect. I also think what a good idea, not just in the showbiz world, but in all aspects of life, is it's very important to have gratitude for where you are right now.
Absolutely.
Because because I was the kind of kid. I wouldn't say I was a spoilt brat, but I occasionally behaved like one. And it's kind of like I was always the kind of kid who was never thankful for what he had. And over time, I've learned just how important that is, and it's really helped me. So think about what you're thankful for right now, and you'll find that you'll be able to move forward in life with a much more positive attitude, and you will do better at life for it.
Yeah, well, that is very wise words indeed. On that note, thank you very much, Nick Field. Thank you very much. And where can we hear Curveballs?
Curveballs is on every Wednesday between 8 and 10 p.m. on Phoenix FM, which you can listen to on 98.0 if you're in the Essex area, or we're also online everywhere at phoenixfm.com.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you for your time. Mr. Nick Field.
Thanks very much, everyone. I'm at Nick Field Media on all the socials, so feel free to come and check out what I'm up to.